please. Thank you. Masicho.
Hi, hi. So one of the things we always are reminded of our elders is that our culture is strong, it's beautiful, just like our ancestors were, just like your ancestors were too. I like to tell people, you know, when contact first happened, they were cold, they came off the boat, they had a really long journey, and they needed sustenance, they needed warmth. And my ancestors said, Astam, which means come over here, Ayape, have a seat, so let's eat. And so that's what happened. You know, I like to think about that's what happened when contact first happened, when the French and the British came over on their boats. And then something happened. You know, Indian Act was created and all that because we signed treaties with them in hopes that we would get along, would coexist with each other hand in hand as neighbors in a good way. And so historically, that didn't go as planned. And so we're dealing with the fallout of lies, manipulation, and deception. And so one of the things we try to do is remind ourselves as human beings, not to think of yourself as better or below anyone. And so just like with this eagle feather, it's kind of like our life, symbolizes our life. You know, when we first come into this world, we're very fragile. We're very fragile. We need that love, that compassion from our caregivers, our mothers, our grandparents, our elders, those ones that understand the importance of what it is to live in connection with everything. And so we come up here and sometimes we begin to learn, oh, don't like those people because of their skin color, or don't like them because they don't have the same last name. Maybe don't like yourself because you're ugly. And so what happens, you go into life with these experiences that devastate your spirit. Your spirit is longing for peace, comfort, unity, harmony, balance. And so maybe you're exposed to alcohol. Maybe you get abused. Maybe you abuse people. Maybe something happens to your family. Maybe something happens to your community. And so that's kind of what your life looks like, fractured. And there's a lot of Native people in this world that walk around like that, not having any kind of support, walk around with no kind of connection. But the elders always say, if you come to the center stem, which represents our life, you can always begin to repair, change the way you think, unlearn some of the things you've learned, and begin to learn the truth about what it is to be a human being in beauty and harmony with everything. You see, like these hairs, there's many thousands of hairs on this feather. Just like we'll go through learning thousands of things. Excuse me. Need some water. And so with this feather, we go through many trials and tribulations. And that's why we gift an eagle feather to somebody, is because they weathered that storm. You know, an eagle feather represents love, to have a vision. Like, how many of you want to travel the world? How many of you want a nice home? How many of you want a large double-double? I'm just kidding. So the eagle represents to always have a vision, whatever we're going through in our life, to always have a goal. And so when I wake up in the morning, I wash my face, I brush my teeth, I look in the mirror, I say, Adrian, I love you. I want you to help at least one person today. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm just saying there's going to come a time in your life where you're going to say, what's my purpose in life? Why was I created? It wasn't to be greedy. It wasn't to be self-centered, egotistical. I think it was to showcase the very best of who you are, whatever you have to offer this world: kindness, love, compassion. And so those are some of the things the elders had taught us about what this eagle feather represents, is to always find balance. You know, you can bless yourself with this feather, whenever you're struggling, you can bless other people. And it's the highest kind of, I guess, form of acknowledgement when you gift this to another human being, is because you think high of them. There's no other animal that can fly higher than the eagle in Canada. And it's almost like a messenger from us to the creator and from the creator to us. And so we look at this as something very sacred. I would never take this into a bar. I would never bring people into my home that are under the influence. Is because this eagle was never intoxicated. This eagle was never under the influence of any kind of substance or distraction that made him forget who he was. And so that's why we hold these in high regard. Any questions so far? Pretty straightforward. All right. So that actually eagle feather teaching was given to me many years ago. I just kind of compiled it and made it something very unique. They teach it in schools across Canada as well as overseas and in the States. Very grateful to be just a little helper of conveying these teachings in a good way. So yeah, back to the drum. We call it in our language mastagiski. It represents the heartbeat of Mother Earth. Mother Earth gives us so much. She gives us fruit, vegetables, Instagram, Twitter. So we say thank you for all those gifts. So you think about every experience you go through, every celebration, we have a song for it. We have a morning song. We have a feast song. We have a round dance song. We have a marriage song, anniversary song, hurry up and get divorced song. No, I'm just kidding. But we have a song for every occasion. And so I'd like to share this song with people that I've never met. And this song is about my very first relationship. I've only been in 2 serious relationships in my life. And I had to make a song about my very first relationship. Some of you might be able to relate to this song. And but anyway, I'll share with you. And hopefully some of you can understand what I went through in this very first relationship. And it goes like this. So I get kind of emotional when I think about it. My very first relationship song goes like this. The next song I'm going to sing. I'm just kidding. That's kind of how we heal from experiences, is by sharing those experiences through song. And so for me, that's how I've been able to heal from all those experiences that when I think about it, left me in shock, left me in disbelief, left me feeling that I wouldn't be able to carry on. And so I had to embrace all my strength, all my resilience as a human being, and then make a song of that experience. Because when you sing, you let it out. It's one of the outlets the Creator had given us as human beings, is to speak about it, to cry about it, to talk about it, to whisper about it. And because when you share your hurt, your pain, ultimately you give other people permission to share theirs as well. And so that's why I always tell people, always share what's going on in there, because you never know what people are going through. So yeah, the drum has definitely helped me on my journey as a young man, a young helper. people always ask, how old are you? I'm 50. I know I don't look it because I use bear grease. I'm just kidding. 50 years old. I've been drug and alcohol free 27 years of my life. That's how long I've been, that's kind of how old I am spiritually. The elders have told me, when you put those substances down, then and only then can you grow to your fullest potential as a spiritual helper. But you have to clean your heart and your mind on a daily basis, which means you don't envy people, you don't look down on people, you don't think of yourself as above or below people. And that's one of the things that the elders are always reminding me of. Always be humble in your craft as a helper. Don't think you're the best in anything. There's always room for improvement. And so that's how I try to live my life in a good way, is to try to help as much as I can wherever I'm asked to help. But yeah, that's how old I am spiritually. I'm still in my adolescence compared to some elders that have never touched a drop of alcohol. So for me, I'm just really grateful to share that with each and every one of you. It's one of the things I take pride in. None of my children, I have 7 children, none of them ever see me drink alcohol or use drugs to escape. And for me, not a lot of Indigenous men can say that about that experience in life.
We thank you for that and sharing that, Adrian, with us today, and also to acknowledge you joining us with, I'm assuming, one of your children watching cartoons in the back. And I love that. I love hearing him in the background.
Yes, he's my manager. So once I'm done, you can just forward payment to him. I'm just kidding.
Sounds good. In the song you shared, if I'm correct, is a round dance song.
Yeah. Tell us
about a round dance.
So round dance is something that happens in the time that we're in right now, fall, winter, springtime, and it's a social gathering. And from what I was told, there's 4 kinds of round dances. The first that came to us as Native people came to us in a time where we didn't understand suicide. Our elders were in shock and disbelief that a young person could take their own life. And so they prayed about it. They prayed, how can we help and support these young people? And it came in a form of a dream that we were all holding hands, dancing in a circle, and that everyone was smiling, everyone was having a good time, and that no one was, taking their life. So you think about a round dance. So that's what we call the very first one is what we call a memorial round dance. And it usually happens 1 to 4 years after your loved one has passed on. That's how we pay our love and respect for them. And I was told it's not for the ones who have passed on. It's for us to mourn, to keep grieving, to continue healing on our journey, and not to stuff it down, not to suppress it with behaviors or substances, but just to experience it for what it is. It's a gift, so that's the very first round dance we go to. It's a memorial round dance. Then the second one is a traditional round dance where we don't use mics, we don't use lights or anything like that. It usually happens from about 3 to 7, from the time the sun is up until the sun goes down. Women sit on one side, men sit on the other side. And there's only a couple people that talk about the importance of this gathering to keep the spirit of this gathering alive, because we all need that support. When we think about a handshake or a hug, it does something to us. It releases endorphins into our brain to make us feel connected. And that's all we've ever wanted as human beings, is to be connected to the Creator, our surroundings, and everything in between. And so that's the second form of the round dance. The third one is kind of like a community round dance. Community can host a round dance for educational purposes, maybe a graduation, maybe an honoring. They could host a round dance. And then I guess the fourth one was kind of new. We have birthday round dances and wedding round dances now. And so those are kind of the four main round dances that we have to host. And yeah, actually Concordia College in Edmonton is hosting one October 1st. So for those who are in Edmonton, you're invited. I MC quite a few round dances, and just to kind of give that information, those stories alive within those gathering places. And it's not only Indigenous people that go to those places; it's anyone. We're all welcome there. There's no fee to enter. Yeah, there's no initiation. The MC will always kind of make you feel welcome and guide you in the process of inclusion. And I think that's such an important part of who we are is including one another and not feeling like you're an outcast when you're a part of that circle, you're a part of that medicine, and so we honor that in a good way. Hopefully that answered that question. Any more questions?
If anyone has any further questions, please feel free to put it in the chat room. Adrian's here to share his knowledge with us today. In regards to round dances, can you explain what happens at a round dance for those who've never been to one, if they decide to go to Concordia on October 1st?
Yeah, so a round dance is kind of like a social gathering that we come and gather. And so the theme for the round dance in Concordia is healing. We acknowledge healing as a gift for ourselves. And, like I always tell people, when you get a cut, what's the first thing you do? You apply pressure. What's the second thing you do? You run it under water to clean it, or you put peroxide on it, whatever. And then you cover it. We put polysporin on it. And so eventually you're gonna have to give it air. And you're gonna have to kind of like move it, like this after a while. And then you're always gonna be reminded because there's gonna be a scar there. So you think about emotional, mental scars that we carry. No one can see them. No one can put a Band-Aid on them. And so when you come to these places, you're encouraged to dance as much as you can because movement is a part of our healing journey. Just like when you break a leg, eventually you're gonna have to walk on it to rebuild that muscle that has been taking a break from movement. And so movement is a huge part of our encouraging way to heal from experiences. Not to stay, on your couch too long because that might become a comfortable place, but to get up, go exercise, go for a walk, and be connected to nature, and pick some flowers or plant something, to make and to see it grow, because a lot of healing therapy comes from that as well. Paint, write, yell, scream, do things that would give you that outlet to continue moving forward in a good way. Not to yell at those that don't deserve it, but just ask for that support. I usually have, when I take youth out, I take them to the bush and we all get an opportunity to yell, to scream, and to just let it out, just to let those tears flow. And you'd be surprised how many just let it flow, because they're so conditioned in the city that you have to be cool, you have to wear a certain name brand. And so when you're out there with them, it's just all, it comes naturally. And so giving them that safe space, I think, is so important. Some of you are mentors and you want to work with you. One of the greatest gift I could teach you is not to have all the answers, and just maybe listen, and not to say, oh, how can I help you? But maybe you can encourage, how can I hear you? How can I listen to you? What do you want to tell me? I'm here to listen. I don't come to judge or criticize. I want to learn from you. You could probably teach me something important. And so I think that's, for me, that's where I begin my relationship with young people. And they have taught me, they're not being heard in their community. They're not being supported, or they're not asked to do certain things in their skill set. And so what I get them to do is like, what are your skills? What are you good at? Are you good at chopping wood? Are you good at, picking medicine? Are you good at beading? Are you good at writing, drawing? Like, what are some of the things that you're good at? And so bringing that out of them, I think, is another way of engaging and honoring their spirit as a young person. So, yeah. Any more questions?
No, I like that, Adrian. That's coming from a place of strength rather than a place of weakness. Like, build that up in the young people so they start to build confidence. And because we're not all the same, we're all unique, and each of us have our own gifts that with the right support, they can be amplified. I shared in the chat with everyone the link to the 4th annual round dance for Saturday, October 1st. It says that there's a pipe ceremony at 5 p.m. Could you share a little about that and what people would expect if they attended the pipe ceremony before the dance?
Yeah, for sure. The pipe ceremony is kind of like our cell phone. That's how we connect to the Creator, our ancestors, in a good way. In our language, we say "waspagan," and that means pipe ceremony. Waspagan. And so when that rock and that stem, they become one. The rock represents the female, ascending, and the male. And when you put those together, it becomes unity. It becomes imbalance. One cannot work without the other. Just like we all carry male and female hormones within us, the male and female gift that we all have. And so when we honor that and we come together and we smoke that pipe together, it's like we're honoring those prayers with one another. And so we don't inhale that tobacco. We just kind of puff on it a couple of times and then we pass. We blow it out. Some people blow it out into their hand and they kind of bless themselves with that pipe tobacco smoke. But it's totally up to you if you want to smoke it or not. If you don't smoke it, you just put that stem to your head, your heart, and then you pass it on. And that's okay. That's just a gesture of acknowledging that respectful gift that talks for us as human beings to the Creator. But yeah, anyone can go. Anyone can go to a pipe ceremony. Most pipe ceremonies are co-ed, which means it's men and women can smoke it. So yeah.
How does one become a pipe holder?
So I'll tell you the story because I don't tell this story much. In 1997, I was going to Sweats. I was helping out my who is now my spiritual dad, Amo, and we were done this ceremony, and I had to get home. And he said, "Just wait, just go. I have a gift for you." I said, "Okay." So I waited around, and most of the people left except for 3 elders and him. And so he began to tell me, he says, "I was told to give this gift to you." And he gets his pipe that he just finished using in his sweat lodge. And right away, I just felt emotional. I felt like crying. Like I felt I was undeserving. I felt like I wasn't ready. All these things, self-doubt. No, I'm not ready. I'm too young. And the first thing he said is, as human beings, sometimes we feel we're too young, we're not worthy. But it's not up to us as human beings. It's up to the Creator when we're blessed these sacred gifts, and just to try to carry it in the best way that we can. And so for me, I cried because I never received such a highest prestigious honor like that. And so I still carry it. I still carry that pipe in a good way. And I pray for people. I bring it out once in a while, and people ask me, "Can you come do a ceremony?" And so I do my best to honor that gift. But you have to learn. So you have to learn how to turn it. You have to learn how to carry it, how to fill it, the medicines that we use, because it's not an actual tobacco that you buy in the store. It's something that we make. And so there's a long, many years of learning and developing that I guess the language to speak on behalf of everyone, especially when you're given that protocol, the tobacco and prints to pray for people, to pray for those ones who are sick, those ones who are struggling. And so it's a great responsibility to be a pipe carrier. And we don't promote it on Facebook or anything like that. These are things that we share at the most sacred part of us in a good way, not to try to boast or anything like that, but just to keep ourselves humble. And I don't share that story much. So for you, it's I'm always grateful to share and help my good sister out here, Tanya, in a good way, just to make you understand that these things are earned. You can't buy them off eBay or Kijiji Marketplace. I'm just kidding. You have to earn these things, and it takes many years to learn and develop an understanding. Most people listen with the intent to respond. Very few listen with the intent to understand. And so I had to listen to those elders, those old wise ones, on how and the reason why we do these things. And so there's two pipe ceremonies that I can share with you. Sometimes we fill our pipe, and then sometimes we load our pipe. So knowing the two differences is something that I had to go through. And so yeah, I just wanted to share it with you in a good way. So hopefully that helped.
Masicho, much appreciated, my friend. All the knowledge you share with us, and how open and vulnerable you've been with us today. Understanding that we really want to amplify the need for Indigenous youth to have mentors. How would you encourage a non-Indigenous mentor to start building a relationship with an Indigenous youth and maybe attend something like a round dance or a pipe ceremony together?
Yeah, I think do the research, look around, get connected to people that are hosting events and or no events, especially sweat lodges. I think those would be a good place to start. Just being an information highway, being ready to have resources and supports, and bring in people that could answer some of those tough questions. Learn the treaties, learn about the Indian Act, because that's a good way to engage them as well, because a lot of Indigenous youth don't know. They don't know either. They only hear about it on what their parents or grandparents are talking about, which is very small and minute. But when you have that information, you become a vessel of a resource. You become a resource for them. And so I think that's one of the fundamental things that we tend to forget, is that we can become a resource for the young people. We just have to earn it.
I like that. That's a great answer. I think that non-Indigenous people can be a resource to our Indigenous youth and learn together our culture. There's, as you said from the beginning, we're the most inclusive people. I know that we include all cultures within our ceremonies, within our social events, and don't turn away anyone who wants to come and learn with us and celebrate with us. You just mentioned Sweat Lodge. Could you give an overview of a Sweat Lodge to a newbie who may have heard of the term, maybe seen something on TV, but doesn't know what to expect with a Sweat Lodge ceremony?
For sure, yeah. Like a sweat is our church. That's where we go to our holy place. And from what I was told, the synopsis of this is like we're going back into the womb of Mother Earth. And so traditionally, as a man, I don't have that ability to clean myself on a monthly basis every 28 days where women do. And so that's where the lodge was given to us, was to clean our mind, our body, and our heart from behaviors and substances that sometimes deter us from our natural walk in life. And so the first round is what we call the cleansing round, to clean our mind and our heart so that we can talk to the Creator. The second round is for all the male side of life, the weaker sex, we call it, because I can't bring in a life into this world like a woman can. That's why we say we're the weaker sex. And then the third round is for the female side of life. All female, we pray for them. And then the fourth round is for gratitude, giving thanks for life. And then we come out, and each round is about 20 minutes, 4 songs per round. And it's sometimes they have 48 rocks to depending on who's conducting it and the intent, because there's many lodges. I want to say there's 13 styles of lodges out there. You're thinking 13, how can there be 13? Well, there's 13 constellations. There's actually 13 months. And so a 13 plays a very important in our roles in regards to ceremonies. And so the only ones I can talk about is the teaching lodge and the healing lodge, because those are the two I've been bestowed upon. Those are the ones I kind of been taught since 1997 once I got my sacred pipe. And so the teaching ceremony kind of teaches people, prepares them for all those other ceremonies that if they wanted to pursue, they'll have a better understanding. They'll have an introduction to those as well once they pursue that as well. So yeah, usually from about 1 to 5, you go in. I usually tell people get there early. So if it starts at 1, try to make your day, get there at 10, so you can help build it, so you can help get the fire ready. I know, I mean, I was even guilty of that. It's at 1 o'clock. Okay, I'll show up at 1:30. Just as everyone's going in. But yeah, then my spiritual dad, hey, come on, you gotta help out here. So, but yeah, I was reminded of that too. You know, come and go spend the whole day out there, and it's good. You'll see, you'll feel something so powerful, something so spiritual, rewarding, that it'll pick your spirit up. Everyone's gonna have a different experience. Like my first experience probably won't be the same as yours. One of the things I do is I don't go there. I leave my cell phone in the vehicle. I don't go there to be on my phone. I don't go there to try see if there's Wi-Fi there. I go there to be connected to nature, on the land, in the ceremony, the elder, the lodge keeper, and so yeah, it's just a beautiful way to be reborn. And so we heat up these rocks, and so I guess the illustration is so there's a fire, and then here's the sweat. I'll say, okay, here's the fire where we're heating up the rocks, and here's the sweat. In between the sweat and the fire, there's what we call a little mount. So the sweat represents the earth, the mount represents the moon, and the fire represents the sun. And so all those elements that we honor and we take care of in the best way we know how is by praying and acknowledging them. That without the sun, we become a little bit depressed, a little bit sad. And then when we see the sun again in the springtime and in the summertime, it warms us. And so we're getting prepared right now so that the sun won't have its intensity for us. And that's why every season we have a lodge. Every season we have a sweat. It's to prepare us for the transition, what's about to take place, what's about to happen. The sun's we're going to be, kind of floating away from the sun for a little while. And a lot of people get scared. A lot of people get fearful. A lot of people cry. A lot of people get depressed. But it's those ceremonies that remind us that say hello. This is my son. His name's Honor. So get the wee one, which means he loves everyone. And,
nice to meet you, Honor.
Hello.
Manager.
Yes. So that's why we have those sweat lodges. traditionally there was only 4 a year for the 4 seasons, but now we have, you know, you could find one pretty much every day of the week, once a week, Sundays, Saturdays, Mondays, Tuesdays, depending on where we go. We used to host them at Alberta Hospital in Edmonton, Tuesdays and Fridays, out at Alberta, not Alberta, Mother Earth Chartered School by Genesee Power Plant, Saturdays and Sundays. So yeah, it's a great way to experience something very sacred, something very powerful. And I was always told it'll never get hotter than your body temperature. For me, I haven't really burnt or got really too hot in a sweat. Reason being is because I'm not a sinner. I'm just kidding. I don't sin, which means I don't take advantage of people. I don't hurt people with my words. I don't drink or I don't do drugs. You know, I don't do anything that would make me pay for it in the end. And so when you go in there, some people might feel a little bit discomfort. Now, one of our senses is taken from us too, is our sight. It's really dark in there, and so we heat up those rocks. And the understanding is that you heat them up where they become pure again. Those rocks become pure. Most of them are lava rocks or field rocks that we use. And so the thought process, that what we're told is that put all your hurt, all your shame, all your guilt, all your fear, all your doubts, give those to the rocks because they'll know what to do with them. And so when you go in there, you close your eyes, you pray. And if it gets too hot, they say, go down to the earth and breathe through your towel, cover your head. And so just focus on your prayers. Don't focus on the heat because it might get hot. If you focus on your prayers, you won't even feel the heat. So they tell people. But if it gets too hot, you can ask for the door and the sweat lodge keeper will open up the door for you and let you out. It's not about punishing people or anything like that. It's just about praying. You know, that like, how strong is your faith in Creator? How strong is your faith in God? And so, you know, you think about Mother Earth, she gives us so much, you know, so we're going back into the womb of Mother Earth, and that's the most safest spot for us. You think about that 9 months, 9.5 months we're in our belly of our mother. We didn't have to worry about who liked us on social media, how many likes that we had, how thick or how black our eyebrows were. We didn't care about makeup or how we did our hair. We didn't care about name clothing or anything like that. It was just everything was taken care of for us. And so that's what when we go back into that sweat lodge, that should be our mindset. Everything is taken care of for us. We just have to allow the process of healing to begin. And so we think about breathing. And there's medicine that's usually poured on the rocks before the splashes happen. And so we breathe that medicine in. And what's the intent is so that it calms us down. It prepares us so that we're able to think clearly and to say what we need to say to the Creator. You know, because a lot of people have doubt. A lot of people don't believe. They don't even know how to pray. And so we're just reminded, just pray in your thoughts or just pray whisperly. But for the most time, the elders are praying, the singers are singing, and as to engage you in that aspect of singing, of healing, of letting go in a good way. And so that's why we encourage people. Like I said, my experience, Tanya's experience will be a little bit different from your experience if you ever go to a sweat. And so just be open-minded, have an open heart, and try to bring tobacco, like a couple of smokes or something of great value, a blanket, sweetgrass, sage. If you can't get tobacco, you know, just try to bring a gift, even ginger ale or water as a way of gifting the people that are going to be praying for you.
Thank you so much, Adrian. You explained it so well, that everyone's experience will be different. Most recently, I attended a sweat in Musqueam, and it's a lot about getting the fear out of your head and trusting the process. And once you start listening to the songs and the prayers, it just brings you in, and the time goes by so fast, and you don't even realize that you've been praying all this time and you forgot how hot it was. And you're right. I've never been in a sweat where I walked out burnt, but I like to think it's because I'm not a sinner either, but I'll keep that one. Lastly, before I go, so I'm sure that everyone is like, hey, what do you need to show up at a sweat? You said tobacco, potentially a gift. Let's talk about how to prepare with clothing. And close it with that. And with that, you could close it how you'd like to, Adrian.
For sure. So one of the things that we ask women to wear is a flannel nightgown, something that covers them from their neck to their ankles. Some women just wear a shirt and sweatpants. Men just wear swimming trunks. And so, yeah, it gets pretty warm in there sometimes. And like I said, don't focus on the heat, just focus on the intent and prayer while you're there. And so, yeah, I just want to thank you for allowing me to share some good information with you. I hope and pray that our paths do cross again, and that we can shake hands, we can hug, and not worry about disease or discomfort. And so I will actually sing a sweat song for you. And this is a song that we acknowledge our thunder beings. It's called the Thunderbird Song. And we usually sing it in the first or second round, acknowledge those thunder beings. A couple of days ago, it was just thundering. Oh, it just rained. It just blessed us. I just felt so good. Every time I hear the thunder beings, I always light my smudge, because that was the name of my mother, my mom's mom. Her name was Eliza Running Thunder. And that's the name of my dance group, Running Thunder Dancers. And so we honor her and her beliefs that education is important, staying away from drugs and alcohol, but also supporting and loving one another were some of the three things she taught my mom. And so with that, my friends, my relatives, I honor you all. I say thank you. And I pray this song may pick up your spirit and allow you to stay blessed. Hi. Have a good day.
Masicho so much, Adrian. For everyone who wants to have more of our resources for Indigenous mentoring, I'm just going to add it to the chat room. We got to thank you, Adrian from Sierra. Thank you, Sierra, for your comments. Everyone, thank you for sharing your time with us today. If you haven't signed up to our newsletter, maybe Andy, you could share, if you have it on hand, our newsletter link. If you don't, everyone could go to our albertamentors.ca website. Think about becoming a partner with Alberta Mentors, and maybe we can collaborate on bringing more mentors to Indigenous youth across Alberta and beyond. Everyone have a wonderful day, and Masicho for joining us. Thank you again.